Hello, everybody. Welcome to your market report. My name is Christian Charlo. Today we're Thursday, October 3rd. Today, folks, I want to talk to you about how you can benefit from the heightened volatility and in the market. Last week in the market report on September 26th, I talked to you about VIX and HVU on the TSX, which were actually key ETF that you could buy to actually benefit from the heightened volatility. Well, today you can actually cash in and take some profit on on those two ETFs I've shown you in the last market report. And the volatility is expected to continue with Democrats and Republicans that are unable to actually find a common agreement on a budget, a bill, and also that worries investors because potentially, if ever they find no agreement on October 17th when we will reach the debt limit, that will create a major impact throughout the world, according to the Secretary of Treasury of the United States. So, technically speaking, what are the ETF we can trade? How can we benefit from that heightened volatility? Well, let's take a look at the SPY, the Dow Jones, the Nasdaq, and a couple of volatility ETF. For instance, the SPY, where are we right now? You see that we're actually continuing to go down. The target that we give ourselves for the SPY is, if we take a look, technically speaking, we take this trend here around 165.63. That's the point where we might expect a pause on SPY. So we expect the correction to continue. And in terms of the ETF that you could track on the SPY, there's SPXU, which is actually really a good ETF to track. For instance, you could actually open some positions right now. Look at SPXU. It's on the verge of clearly reversing its downward trend. Volumes have been increasing recently. And also, if we take a look at the histogram here, the MACD histogram is showing some bullish momentum because the red is above the blue, and we're in positive territory on the histogram. So those are all factors that is actually a good point for SPXU to actually trade that stock. And when you should take some profit is whenever SPY reaches around 165.24. On the Nasdaq, well, the correction is less steep as the SPY, but if actually the Nasdaq broke its support out, there will not be tons of shortable opportunity though. But at this point here at 3,710, that might be the new stop on the Nasdaq. So to benefit from that decrease, it's not through a lot of shorts, it's definitely through a bearish ETF like SQQQ, which is actually a good entry point as long as you put your stop loss at 1992 and it's really near to actually break its resistance. So what can we do to actually benefit from the heightened volatility? On the last week market report on September 26th, I talked to you on VIX and HVU. Well, VIX was on September 26th. Today, it's definitely a profit-taking opportunity. HVU, since September 26th, it's definitely a profit-taking opportunity. You can still hold on to some remaining positions that you have on those ETF, but I think you have to definitely take some profit if you acquire them on September 26th and 27th. For the financial sector, it's also a sector that is definitely being impacted. I think if ever Democrats and Republicans are not able to reach a deal on October 17, the doom scenario is that where investors are going to rush again to actually have some safe assets. So we might see a surge in yields that will definitely not be positive for banks, that will increase their financing costs. They will not be able to lend as much money to businesses. Their criteria will be tightened. So all those factors will weigh negatively in the financial sector. So that's why there's starting to be a movement in some regional banks. Actually, in the Nasdaq, most of the breakdowns are on the regional banks. So the financial sector, it's on the verge of clearly reversing this important upward trend though. So if ever the doom scenario happens, the ETF to benefit from that on the financial sector will be FAS on New York, which is actually a good entry point right now. FAS is staying within its neutral formation, but you could get in and you put your stop loss at 28.84. So this is it, folks. The correction will continue. That's what we think, especially because there seems to be no deal that is coming along. Democrats and Republicans are sticking to their position and not willing to move to the center. So SPXU to benefit from the decrease on the SPY. On the Nasdaq, there's SQQQ, but the Nasdaq offers a little bit less potential than as short than the SPY, for instance. And for the heightened volatility, you have VIX and HVU, which continue to be good ETF. And if ever the doom scenario happens, and on October 17, we're unable to find an agreement between Democrats and Republicans, financial sector will be impacted, and FAS will be the ETF to have to actually benefit from an eventual bearish cycle on the financial sector in the US. So you can get access to all those strategies and many more live on marketgurus.tv just by clicking at the link below. So this was Christian Charlo from decisionplus.com, and see you next week for your market report.